Hi, I'm Mike Moreland of BYD. I'm the Director of After Sales Support. I'm going to be walking you through the safe operation of a Class 1 BYD truck today. First and foremost, everything we're going to talk about is going to be located in the operation and maintenance manual in the back of the seat. This book is going to explain and detail everything that we're going to go through. All the warning label locations are in here, so if they're missing on the truck, it's the operator's responsibility to read this book and understand everything that's in this manual. Labels on this truck must be in legible condition. The location, again, of all the warning labels on this truck are located in the manual. The warning labels on this truck are because of previous accidents. Anytime there's an accident on a truck, they're reviewed. If it's pertinent to an operator, we place a warning label. You'll see the warning labels are located throughout this truck in plain view of the operator. The capacity tag on the truck is located right here. We're going to be looking at the physical capacity and the load centers on these trucks. These trucks are rated at 24 inches. The capacity of this truck is on a stationary or a static truck, flat level surface, perpendicular mast. We don't account for inertia, no acceleration rate or anybody slamming on the brakes. So we don't have that in account. Everything on this tag is done so it's repeatable. Perpendicular mast, stationary truck. They're going to give you a load center. That load center is going to tell you a standard truck, it's going to be 24 inches out, 24 inches out. A typical pallet is 48 inches. 48 inches wide, 48 inches long, and 48 inches high. So your center of gravity in a truck is going to be located 24 inches out, 24 inches up. As we start moving the load out, we pick up leverage, we decrease the capacity of the truck. That information is contained on the tag. The tag on this truck is located on the front cowl. When you look at a forklift, there's 4 tires on it. We have a steering wheel, a brake pedal, and a gas pedal. That's where the differences stop. Front axle of a car is where your steering is. Front axle of a lift truck physically has the brakes and the drive unit that's in the front of this. Most automobiles and pickups either have the drive unit in the front or in the back. The lift truck has the steering on the back. Another major difference in this, the braking on a lift truck is done with the front axle. There is no brakes on the rear axle. An automobile and a pickup, it has brakes in all 4 corners. We only have them in the front on a lift truck. Steering being in the back on a lift truck, steering being in the front. What this equates to that when you turn the steering wheel, the back of the lift truck's going to go. You always got to make sure when you're operating a lift truck that people are not in the path of the back of the forklift, difference in a car or automobile. Another major difference is all the weight of an empty forklift, a forklift with no load on it, is going to be contained in the back of this forklift, which means all the weight of an empty forklift has the weight on the steer axle. As we load this truck up and we apply weight to the forks, what's going to happen, this load's going to shift forward to the large tires on the front axle. This axle on the back of this truck is mounted in one spot. That means that the weight sitting back here, our counterweight, is mounted on one spot back here. So an empty forklift does not have the stability of a full one. Front axle is mounted solid. So as we load this truck, you're going from this position to a very solid position when you have a load on that lift truck. Before every shift, we have to physically do a walk around to check the safety items on this truck. So I'm going to start at the front of this truck. We'll work our way back. All right, first and foremost, we're going to look at the forks, the lifting device you have on the truck. On the heel of the fork, we're allowed to have 10% wear. When this mast is perpendicular, I have to have space under the back of the heel of this fork, so as an operator starts to load, they're not dragging the bottom of these forks. So I'm allowed 10% wear on these forks. Now the critical part of this is as the tires wear, of course the fork's going to drop technicians need to be made aware that the forks are dragging so we can shorten the chains. Next thing we're going to do, we'll inspect to see if the carriage, the load backrest bolts are on there, the load backrest isn't bent. Then we're going to inspect the chains. Chains actually wear where they go over the rollers. We have a pin that rotates in a bushing, and as those wear, the chain's going to physically get longer. We're going to physically check braking distances when we're operating this truck. Braking distance on this truck should be within the length of the truck, which are 10 to 15 feet. So we're going to check both the service brake and the parking brake on this truck. There is no physical park on a lift truck. Most automobiles, you put it into park. When you stop a lift truck, if you do not physically put it in park and you're on a small grade, the truck will just roll away. So you have to use the parking brake, different than a car or a pickup truck. We have our grab rail right here. You'll notice that it's full width, so if somebody starts to come off, we have a lot of grab rail there. We have our parking brake. We have our service brake. We have our accelerator pedal. We have an emergency disconnect all the way out here to the right-hand side. We have our directional control right here. It's forward, neutral, reverse. We have 3 horn buttons on this truck. We have one in the center of the steering wheel. We have one right here behind the directional control switch, and we have one on the grab bar on the rear. Looking at the hydraulic controls on this truck, they're located on the armrest. We have the one closest to you is going to be lift and lower. The next one is going to be tilt. Then we're going to have our auxiliary functions. Auxiliary functions are anything that we located on the front of this truck. The auxiliaries on this truck, on this one, happens to be a side shift. So the third lever out would control our side shift. When we pull it back, it's going to go to the right. When we push it forward, it's going to go to the left. As you enter a truck, always keep 3 points of contact as you're getting on the truck. Same thing getting off. We don't want to be getting off the truck and get hooked on either the steering wheel or the brake and come off where we can't catch ourselves. So you always get off and on a truck in this position. Now we have 2 levers on the side of this, so we can physically, before we get started, we can adjust the height. And we can come in, we can adjust the console forward and aft for comfort, so when I put my hand down that I don't get fatigued. Before you get started, always put on the seat belt. So I'm going to turn on the key. The dash is going to go through a startup procedure. We're going to see it go through. It's going to test all the controls and make sure it's safe to operate on the truck. We're going to release the parking brakes. First thing we're going to do is lift the forks off the ground. Tilt the forks back till they're parallel to the ground. Select our direction. And then we're going to step on the accelerator pedal, and that will give us our direction. And you can see right down the center, I have plenty of visibility. And if I had a pole in the way, as I start to turn, you can see mash channels will start to block your view. So this truck has extremely good visibility right down the center of the mast. We have mash channels on either side, so the operators have got to always visually look around their surroundings and see if there's any posts in the way, because we can have stuff blocked. And I start maneuvering a truck, you can see things can get blocked. So anytime your vision's impaired on a truck, what we physically want to do is travel in the reverse direction. So we have this visibility. So now I have wide open visibility. So if I don't have my mash channels, or I have a large container or box on the front of this truck, then I'll be able to see everything behind me, so I have no obstacles in the way. Show you the rear end swing of a lift truck. And I'm operating in somewhat of a confined space. Now, if I'm going to dismount this truck, I'm going to physically tip the forks forward, lower the forks, apply the parking brake. Lift trucks do not have park. The brake physically has to be applied. If this truck is left on any kind of slope, you dismount this truck, the truck will physically roll away. Thank you.